Good morning, welcome to Headline Focus, here live on Core Politics with me, Rob Double. It is Thursday the 29th of March 2018. Let's have a look at what's making the political news today. So, here we are, 1 year to go until Brexit, until March 2019, when we officially leave the European Union. And as would be customary, or as is customary, the politicians are making the most out of the event, particularly, of course, the government and indeed the Prime Minister. She's doing a tour around the UK today before Easter, having given a quote saying, having regained control of our laws, our borders and our money and seized the opportunities provided by Brexit, the UK will thrive as a strong and united country that works for everyone, no matter whether you voted leave or remain. Still a few challenges, though, to go until Brexit. The Prime Minister is feeling pretty buoyant at the moment. She's had the success of the European Council meeting where the transition period was agreed and signed off, and giving that stability and guarantee to businesses and people for at least just short of 2 years after March 2019. However, there are still a significant number of stumbling blocks to go in this final year leading up to us leaving the European Union, UK leaving the European Union, mainly the Irish border, which still is reportedly having no real progress or agreement with regards to how to avoid a hard border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And, of course, the free trade agreement. Now, that's being thrashed out currently. Now, the transition deal has been agreed, and that will hopefully be resolved and rather sorted and a framework agreed upon by October in order to be signed off and ratified by the EU and the UK. Now, whether that actually happens, that timeline is actually met, is another question, or whether it just rumbles on up until March 2019. We'll just have to wait and see. But at least today will go down as a historic day in British politics, 1 year to go, and much more political activity and news headlines to come in the next 12 months. Next up, though, Corbyn ally quits Labour disputes panel. Now, this is again going on this anti-Semitism story, which has been running in the Labour Party all through this week. A prominent ally of Jeremy Corbyn has quit as the head of the Labour disputes panel. She did that last night. She was revealed to have defended a council candidate who posted an article calling the Holocaust a hoax. Now, this is Christine Shawcroft. She's a senior figure in the grassroots group Momentum, an ally of Jeremy Corbyn, and she defended Alan Bull, who was due to be standing for Peterborough City Council in the local elections in May. Now, it's understood that he's shared to friends details of a documentary called Red Cross Confirm Holocaust is a Hoax in June 2015, and that was subsequently screenshotted and shared by other members of the Labour Party and membership who were not happy with him sharing that post. He was then suspended, but Christine Shawcroft then came to Mr. Bull's defence, demanding officials rescind Mr. Bull's suspension, saying that it was a factional Labour dispute rather than anti-Semitism or anything about anti-Semitism. So she's now being pulled into this argument as well. John McDonnell, Shadow Chancellor, said Mr. Corbyn had asked her to resign. Obviously, as the chair of the disputes panel, or leader of the disputes panel, it's very important, at least, that such a leader is seen to be impartial and fair in terms of dealing with disputes, particularly with disputes about anti-Semitism. And obviously, they put her in a difficult position, and therefore she had to go, or rather had to be asked to resign. Labour are having a particularly bad time. This has been rumbling on really since Jeremy Corbyn became leader of the party, this concern over growing anti-Semitism, or at least a tolerance to ignore anti-Semitism within the Labour Party, something which still hasn't been resolved. There's still very clear internal divisions, both within the Labour Party membership and indeed within the Parliamentary Labour Party as well, between Corbyn leadership and other MPs, particularly those of Jewish heritage or from the Jewish communities, and something which no doubt will be giving continuous headlines after the Easter break as well. So something to keep an eye on, at least going into the 4-day weekend. Finally, Home Office border chaos. Now, the Home Office have lost track of more than 600,000 foreigners who've been living in the UK, and importantly, who should have left the UK. Now, this is a report by David Bolt, who is the Chief Inspector of Borders and Immigration. The government has spent around £800 million on border system that is intended to log every entry into the UK and departure from the country as well. It's supposed to also be able to monitor the exits from the UK, not just the entries as well. Exit checks were actually reintroduced by the coalition government in 2015. It's been a total disaster, though, or rather a very difficult process. The report says the exit check system was so unreliable that there are no departure records for 88,000 non-EU citizens whose visas have expired, and more than 500,000 non-visa travellers, which can be from across the world. Obviously something which Theresa May, former Home Secretary and indeed very strong supporter of cutting down on immigration and controlling immigration, will not be a good headline for her as well going into the Easter holidays. Obviously, immigration will be something which will be continually referred to as well, referring to our first story regarding the Brexit negotiations going post-March 2019. That's pretty much it for today, and indeed this week. We're off, obviously, for the Easter weekend. I hope you have a fantastic time. We'll be back on Tuesday morning at around 9 o'clock. But from me and all the team here at Core London, have a fantastic 4-day weekend.